Honorable Justice Sudhir Agrawal, P.K. Malhotra Sahab, Sanjay Parikh Sahab, Professor Manoj Kumar Sinha, and all of you present here. First of all, I'd like to express my gratitude to the Director, Professor Manoj Sinha, for giving me an opportunity to be in the midst of you people. He has given a very elaborate background of the evolution of human rights internationally. So that has made my work easier. I don't have to go those backgrounds. But I personally feel that the human rights cannot be enforced just simply by the words or statutes that are made by the UN or by different countries. He himself read out many couplets, शायरी से उन्होंने बहुत सारी बातें कही, and that shows that we may be working very hard to establish our point by writing these books, and be very happy that Oxford has published it and this has published it and it has sold 2000 copies. लेकिन शायर एक लाइन में जो बात कह देता है हमारे दिल को बहुत छू जाती है, तो वो शायर ज्यादा समझता है कि मानवाधिकार क्या होता है. और ये मैं कहूंगा कि किस तरह से हमारे उपनिषदों वेदों में भी ये बातें हैं. I shall come to it later. The very first thing that Mr. Sinha talked about the charter, that all human beings are born free and equal. Yes, in principle it is true that all of us are equal. Our preamble says, we the people of India having solemnly resolved to constitute into sovereign secular socialist democratic republic and to ensure justice, social, economic and political. You are talking about justice, equality, these things, everywhere talk, but the fact is that we are not basically democrats and we refuse to accept that we are equals. When we talk about someone who is superior to us, then we say we are equals, but when there is someone who we think are inferior, then we detest the very concept of equality. We may be living in a cloud cuckoo land and thinking that everything is hunky-dory. That's not true. In a democracy, I had written a piece, and even in that book, Justice versus Judiciary, there is a piece, My Lord and Your Excellency. Why do we address judges as my lords? Why do we call President Your Excellency, Governor Your Excellency? In 1950s, there was a circular issued by the Supreme Court that judges will not be addressed as my lords. There was a circular issued by the Government of India that President and Governors will not be addressed as Your Excellency or His Excellency. But the press releases that are issued or invites that are issued by the Raj Bhavan of the President House program of HE, His Excellency. So that is the hard fact we have to accept. We are not equals. There is protocol. In tribal society, we don't have protocol. Everywhere you find that facts are suppressed. And the biggest advocates of human rights are the biggest violators of human rights internationally. So the USA, which had such a vital role in the framing of this charter, what did it do in Vietnam and other countries? Korea, what happened? Korea was divided into two parts. One occupied by USSR, another by USA. The war is still going on. And the kind of apology that was given by the USA, that shows that what the US did in Iraq in 2003 happened in 1952 in the Korean War also. And what about Vietnam? Now before the Nuremberg trial, the prosecutor appears and said, we have finished this and we have done this, we have done that, as if he was talking about the Nuremberg trial that took place in 1940s, after the Second World War. Then there are some journalists, luckily, who exposed it. Gail Horn, she went to South Vietnam and then said, is it what we Americans doing 8,000 miles away? She was well connected. Professor Sinha was talking about Eleanor Roosevelt. Her mother was a friend of Roosevelt, so she got big opportunities. But when she reported from South Vietnam what was happening, how human rights were violated, Then the Johnson administration ensured that it does not give any opportunity to go back to South Vietnam. And there are many others. Tom Baker has written that once he got a visitor because he was working for the New York Times. He got a visitor, Ellsberg, and he said that General Westmoreland and Ellsworth, they had come to United States to say so many villages captured, we have done this, so the story of their victory, they had come to narrate to the whole country. And then the visitor told him that you people have been conned. US newspapers are reporting fake news. Nobody is reporting the truth. So first when they sent cable from Vietnam, these two people, Westmoreland and Ellsberg, then the US administration was itself skeptical that if these figures are given, nobody will believe. 3 million people were killed in Vietnam, out of them 58,022 were the US citizens. So initially the falsehood was disseminated, but when the gunny bags were coming back, dead bodies of Americans were coming back, then there was a hullabaloo. What is happening? 3 million people killed in Vietnam, that's fine, but if 58,000 Americans were killed, that is something that they could not tolerate. Harsh, he was a freelancer and there are 600 embedded journalists. You talk of human rights, and journalists were not allowed to visit different areas. So the new concept of embedded journalism was introduced after the Second World War, when the Allied occupation forces were taking journalists around the world. And it so happened in Japan, one journalist, he slipped the leash and went to Hiroshima, and from there he reported about the radiation effect. The whole world was unaware of what was happening in Japan. Japan was going to surrender. It had been made clear, but the report was suppressed because US wanted to bombard Hiroshima and Nagasaki. You may talk of very big things, very magniloquent speeches, very grandiloquent, highfalutin speeches, but when it comes to the ground, what do? You defenestrated democracy from several countries. Chile, Guatemala in the name of democracy. In fact, democracy was subverted in the name of democracy. And this kind of dissemination of false news goes. You will respect human rights only when you have that large heart to accept everyone as your own. If you don't have that large heart, you will not respect human rights. The problem is that we think that we are very important. That is the human psychology. I am the most important. This is human psychology. मैं सबसे important. इसीलिए अपने यहाँ जो है आप लोग, we are from West Bengal. আমি একটু বাংলা বলছি, ভালো বাংলা বলতে পারি না. My last phase was in West Bengal. So I shall give the example of Vivekananda and Ramakrishna Paramahans. How much they respected others. See, Paramahans said, unless you get enlightenment, that is, unless you have Atma Darshan, don't give any charity. कोई दान पुण्य मत करो. Why did he say like this? He did not elaborate, but there is a reason. जब दान पुण्य आप करते हैं तो आपके अंदर अहंकार आ जाता है, और अहंकारी आदमी को कभी ईश्वर दर्शन नहीं होगा. Vivekananda could see the limitations of the teachings and preachings of his guru, preceptor, but he would not say that my guru is wrong, because guru was not wrong, guru was right, but there was a practical difficulty. So Vivekananda said, नर में नारायण, नारायण तक नर के माध्यम से पहुंचो. अगर तुम दान पुण्य करते हो तो तुम उसका उपकार नहीं कर रहे हो, अपना उपकार कर रहे हो. ईश्वर तक पहुंचने का रास्ता वो तुमको दे रहा है तुम्हारे दान को स्वीकार करके, इसलिए तुम आभारी हो उसके प्रति कि वो तुम्हारा दान ले रहा है. That was what he said. That way he found out a midway. कि परमहंस भी गलत नहीं है, लेकिन दान पुण्य बंद हो जाएगा तो काम कैसे चलेगा? पूरी दुनिया दान पुण्य से चल रही है. I was in Bhuj in 2001. All hotels, restaurants were closed. I had to report. What do? स्वामीनारायण का लंगर चल रहा था, हजारों लोग वहां जाकर के खाना खा रहे थे, कोई दान पुण्य कर रहा था, इसलिए दुनिया चल रही थी। एक थे गंग, जहांगीर अकबर के दरबार के दरबारी कवि। एक दिन आए और खानी खनन जो थे रहीम, उनके सामने दोहा सुनाने लगे। उस दिन खानी खनन वो, बिकॉज ही वॉज कमांडर इन चीफ इन रेवेन्यू, हैड गॉट 36 लाख रुपीज, एंड व्हेन गंग स्टार्टेड रिसाइटिंग पोएम्स, ही वाज हैप्पी, ये ले लो, ये ले लो, ये ले लो, करते करते 36 लाख रुपए दे दिए। तो देखते थे गंग की जब ये देते के लिए हाथ ऊपर उठता है, उनकी आंखें झुक जाती हैं। तो उन्होंने कहा, सीखा कहाँ जनाब जो, सीखी कहाँ जनाब जो ऐसी देनी दैन, कर जो जो ऊपर करो त्यों तो नीचे न। जैसे जैसे आप देने के लिए हाथ उठाते हैं वैसे वैसे आपकी आंखें झुक जाती हैं। रहीम जवाब देते हैं, देनदार कोई और है जो भेजत दिन रैन, लोग भरम हम पर करें ताहे नीचे है। अरे देने वाला तो कोई और है, लेकिन लोगों को भ्रम होता है कि मैं दे रहा हूं इसीलिए मेरी आंखें झुक जाती हैं। इसीलिए देखिए कितना मतलब सम्मान है दूसरों के लिए कि हम दान भी दे रहे हैं तो हम कोई कृपा नहीं कर रहे हैं। इसीलिए दूसरों को, हमारे यहाँ सारी बातें कही गई हैं, दुर्बल को न सताइए जाकी मोटी हाय, मरी खाल की सांस से लौ भस्म हो जाए। आपने कभी लोहार की दुकान को देखा है? वहां फ्लोर होता है ऐसे, उससे जो हवा निकलती है वो लोहे को गला देता है। अगर मरी हुई खाल जो है, जानवर की मरी हुई खाल जिससे वो लोअर ठुकनी बनाया जाता है, अगर उसमें यह ताकत है कि वो लोहे को गला दे तो इंसान की हाथ को क्या कर देगी। तो रिस्पेक्ट अदर्स, ह्यूमन राइट्स की बात केवल किताबों में नहीं होगी। दूसरों का सम्मान करिए, दूसरों को बराबर समझिए। केवल नॉट इन प्रिंसिपल एवरीवन इज बॉर्न इक्वल, यस एवरीवन इज बॉर्न इक्वल। रूसो ने भी कहा था, फ्रांस की क्रांति भी उससे हो गई, everyone is born equal, we are born equal, but everywhere you are in chains. That is what Rousseau said, and that precipitated the French Revolution. लेकिन कैसे कैसे अन्याय फ्रांस में हुए। जॉन कैले, you read the history, you know that they had been given a rights of Nantes, given in 1598, that Protestants have got all the freedom, and that was annulled. Now you cannot practice your own religion. What happened? John Kelly, I am giving you one example, or the massacre that took on the St. Bartholomew's Day, because the king's daughter, that was Charles IX, who was the king, a child king, whose sister was married to a Protestant, and then the massacre took place, and that was provoked by the queen. John Kelly, his daughter converted to Catholicism, and the son committed suicide because of losses in business. And there was an atrocious law that if you commit suicide, then you will be put on the, there was some structure and with face down, and you will be kept naked, and then the whole, it will be taken in a procession. So he had to concoct a story that he did not commit suicide. The father was so angry that he killed. It was a case of filicide. He killed his son because he is going to convert into Catholicism. ऐसे ऐसे अन्याय सब होते रहे इसी दुनिया में। एकदम क्रूसेड के नाम पे लाखों लाख लोग मार दिए गए। मैंने कहा 30 लाख लोग मार दिए गए वियतनाम में। What happened in Holocaust in Germany? The world is full of the history of violence because we think that we are superior, either in the name of race, or in the name of caste, or in the name of gender. And sometimes a scholarship, विद्वानों का भी बड़ा घमंड होता है। मैंने कई विद्वान देखे घमंड से भरे हुए, अरे इससे क्या बात करेंगे, तो कुछ बहुत पढ़ो रहे जा, पढ़ो लोग क्या बात करोगे। ये बड़ी खतरनाक चीज है। इसलिए अपने आप जो है हमेशा सोचिए कि हम नीचे हैं। सबसे बड़ी चीज होती है विनम्रता। इसलिए गांधी जी का जब कोचरा आश्रम, साबरमती आश्रम बनाया जा रहा था, तो there was a code of conduct being framed. What should be the code of conduct for the inmates of the Sabarmati ashram? There was one Gurdas Banerjee, who was perhaps former judge of the High Court. He gave a suggestion that humility should be one of the grounds, one of the attributes that one must have to be one of the inmates of this ashram. वो कहते थे आजकल के बच्चे बड़े उदंड हो गए। अभी 100 साल पहले भी कहा जाता था बच्चे बड़े उदंड हो गए। हम पैदा हुए थे तो हम भी यही सुनते थे अपने बाप दादे से कि आजकल के बच्चे बड़े बदतमीज हो गए हैं। आजकल हम लोग यही बोलते हैं आजकल के बच्चे बहुत बदतमीज हो गए हैं। तो 100 साल पहले भी ये बात थी। गांधी ने कहा नहीं, ह्यूमिलिटी को कानून से नहीं करते हैं, ये आपके दिल से बात आनी चाहिए, ये कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट में नहीं रख सकते। मैं केवल यही कहना चाहता हूँ कि ह्यूमन राइट्स जो है ना वो ऐसी चीज है जिसका सम्मान करे। और आजकल मीडिया क्या, मीडिया कोई है उसके लिए मुद्दा ही नहीं, क्योंकि मीडिया खुद ही बिक चुका है। अरे हर पत्रकार को तो खुद ही एमएलए एमपी बनना है, राज्यसभा जाना है, पद्मश्री चाहिए, अखबार के मालिक को पद्मश्री चाहिए। मीडिया बिक चुका है, समाप्त हो गया है। मीडिया के बारे में कम बात करें तो अच्छा है। और जो कुछ लोग मीडिया में निष्पक्ष हैं वो कोई पूछने वाला नहीं है। लोग भी ये चाहते हैं या तो मोदी को गाली दो या मोदी की चरण वंदना करो, उसी को लोग सुनते हैं। जो निष्पक्ष बात करेगा उसको कोई सुनेगा ही नहीं। इसलिए बहुत धन्यवाद, निष्पक्ष रहिए और दूसरों का सम्मान कीजिए।